So I think having a good working relationship between the vet and the farrier is ideal for both professions, and also the horse owner's perspective, and then ultimately it's for the betterment of the horse. I'll admit historically that relationship has been stressed and strained from both sides, both the farrier profession and the vet profession. I do think the biggest problem is probably a lack of communication and various professional insecurities on either side, just leading to conflict. So I think the keys to building a good vet-farrier relationship is being open-minded, being willing to communicate, understand that you're a part of a team, and then ultimately just be a good teammate. So treat the opposing profession the way you would want them to treat you. So value their opinion, listen to their perspective, be open to criticism, because ultimately without criticism there isn't room for improvement. So I'd say specifically farriers need to be extremely well educated in anatomy and physiology, pathophysiology, biomechanics of the horse, and ultimately their skill set. So their farrier, so they need to be well versed in all aspects of farrier that may or may not be applied during a specific case. I think the vet side of it, they need to obviously be well versed in anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, and what they're doing. But I do think they need to have a basic understanding of farrier and what the farrier profession does and can do. I think both need to understand their role and stay within the realm of their job. So obviously it's not the farrier's job to diagnose, it's not the farrier's job to provide guidance and treatment as it comes to, or involves medical treatments or things like that. So medicines or treatments like shockwave, any of those things, I think it's wrong for a farrier to do any of that. I think it's extremely wrong for farriers to diagnose things. But I also am pretty critical of the vet profession. They should not dictate specific techniques to what should be applied by a farrier. They need to be open-minded as well. They need to listen to the farrier. So I think when you have problems or disease pathologies, it's important to diagnose the problem, have a very specific diagnosis, and then as a team discuss the principles that need to be achieved to help that horse. And then the specific techniques should be a shared decision between the vet and the farrier. Let's take, for example, a horse that needs a heart bar, or needs, I guess it'd be better to think about it as a horse that needs frog and possibly sole support to help it. There are obviously many ways to do that, from the application of a heart bar, the application of a flat pad, the application of Equipack and pressure material, heel plates, lots of different ways to do that. And I think it's wrong, and I do think it leads to conflict when a vet dictates that it specifically has to be a heart bar. And obviously if the farrier is comfortable with a heart bar, has the skill to make, apply, and appropriately fit one, it'll go really, really well. There'll be no problem at all. The problem lies in if it's mandated that the use of a heart bar for this particular case, and then the farrier happens to be somebody who's not comfortable with a heart bar or hasn't used them very much, then that's putting them out on a limb that's in a bad spot, and chances are that case will not go well. So in that case, the vet needs to be open-minded in recognizing that farrier's skill set and what they can provide, and then being able to utilize some other means to get the frog support that's needed. So I think it's very difficult to argue the principles that need to be achieved to help a specific case, but specific techniques, I think that's when a lot of conflict is created. And then I guess if we were to be critical of our profession, farriers need to be prepared for all cases that they may see. It's not fun. It's pretty rough when a vet and a farrier go out to see a case together, and then it's determined that a horse needs some specific shoe or something, and then the farrier doesn't have it, or doesn't have the ability to make it, or doesn't have the ability to do that day. That's not fun, and that leads to some conflict. I think overall a vet-farrier relationship can be resolved are improved and make a good working relationship by everybody educating themselves, being experts in their own profession, and then also having a basic understanding of the other profession and what they can offer and what they do. I think they need to be willing to communicate, so they need to be open-minded. I think they need to be respectful of each other's time and each other's expertise and skill set. And then again, overall, I think the big chunk of it just comes down to communication. So being open-minded, actually carrying out the communication, being able to listen when the other is talking, I think is huge. So I don't think there's anything all that difficult about building a vet-farrier relationship, as long as everyone is respectful of each other and they work together and realize that both members of the team are there to ultimately help the horse, that it shouldn't turn into an ego thing or a battle thing or a chest thumping time for one or the other.